Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. You know how this works. You send us some stuff you're thinking about, some articles, books, whatever's on your mind financially, and we take a deep dive together.
That's right. We go through the material you sent and pull out the most important parts and try to, figure it all out together.
Exactly. So for today's deep dive, looks like we're talking about building wealth.
Yep. Building wealth. Lots to unpack there, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff can be kind of overwhelming, right? There are just so many different ideas out there, so many strategies, and it's hard to know where to even begin.
It really is. And there's so much, conflicting advice out there, too. It can be really hard to sort through it all.
Totally. Okay, so let's take a look at what you sent us for this deep dive. Seems like you've been doing a lot of reading on this topic.
Yeah. And a good mix of stuff, too. We've got some classic personal finance books, some articles on investing, even some podcasts on entrepreneurship.
Oh, cool. So this isn't just about getting rich quick schemes. It's about building a solid financial foundation.
Exactly. And that's one of the things I really appreciate about the material you sent. It takes a holistic approach.
What do you mean by holistic?
It's not just about picking stocks or starting a business. It's about understanding the whole picture, your mindset, your habits, your goals, and how all of those things work together.
Makes sense. It's kind of like you can't build a house without a strong foundation.
Exactly. Okay, so the first thing I noticed in all this material is this emphasis on wealth mindset.
Oh yeah, wealth mindset. I've heard that term thrown around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, it kind of makes me roll my eyes a little bit. Isn't that just code for I want to be rich?
Well, it's definitely more nuanced than just wanting to be rich. It's really more about a way of thinking, a set of beliefs and attitudes that can help you build wealth over the long term.
Okay, I'm listening. Break it down for me. What does a wealth mindset actually look like in practice?
Well, one of the key principles is focusing on value creation.
Value creation. So starting a business.
There's one way to do it, but it can also be simpler than that. It's about asking yourself, how can I provide value to others? It could be as simple as offering a service, creating a product, or even just sharing your knowledge and expertise.
So it's not just about what you can get, it's about what you can give.
Exactly. When you focus on providing value, the money tends to follow.
That's a good point. I'm starting to see how this mindset shift can be really powerful. So it's about thinking long-term, focusing on value, and what else?
Another key aspect of a wealth mindset is goal setting. It's not enough to just say, I want to be wealthy. You need to have specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. SMART goals.
SMART goals. I've heard of those. So instead of saying, I want to be a millionaire, I might say, I want to invest $500 a month for the next 5 years.
Exactly. That's a much more actionable goal.
I like it. It's more like a roadmap than just a vague wish. Okay, so we've got the right mindset. We're setting goals. What's next?
Well, all the sources you sent emphasize the importance of multiple income streams.
Multiple income streams. Okay, I've heard of that too. But why is that so important? I mean, isn't a good job enough?
Sure, a steady job can be great, but relying on just one source of income can be risky. Think about it. What if you lose your job? Or what if your industry takes a hit? Having multiple income streams helps you spread the risk and create more financial security.
That makes a lot of sense. If one stream dries up, you've still got others flowing in.
Right. It's all about diversification.
So how do you actually go about creating those multiple income streams? I mean, it's not like extra jobs just fall into your lap, right?
Well, there are lots of different ways to do it, and the material you sent highlights some great ideas. One is advancing your career. That could mean getting a promotion, negotiating a raise, or even switching to a higher paying field.
So focusing on your current job, but maximizing your earning potential. Got it. What else?
Another popular option is starting a side hustle. This could be anything from freelancing to selling products online to driving for a ride-sharing service. The key is to find something you enjoy that you can do in your spare time.
I've definitely heard a lot about side hustles.
Yeah.
It seems like everyone's going these days. But it's not just about extra cash, right? I mean, You said it was about diversifying your income stream. So is a side hustle really that different from just getting a second job?
It can be, yeah. A lot of times, side hustles can turn into something much bigger. You might start a blog as a hobby and then find out you have a knack for writing and turn it into a full-time freelance writing business.
I've heard so many stories like that. That's really inspiring. Okay, so we've got advancing your career, starting a side hustle, and what was that third one?
Investing in high-income skills.
High-income skills, what does that even mean?
Basically, it means developing skills that are in high demand and that can command a premium salary.
Okay, so what, like coding?
Right.
Or maybe digital marketing or something?
Those are great examples. But it could also be more niche skills like graphic design, copywriting, or even things like plumbing or electrical work.
That makes a lot of sense. Investing in yourself. All right, so those are some solid options for building multiple income streams. Now let's talk about the less glamorous stuff.
Yeah.
Saving and budgeting.
Right. Because it doesn't matter how much money you make if you don't know how to manage it.
Yeah, totally. I'm definitely still working on this myself. I mean, tracking expenses and living below your means, it's not exactly the most exciting stuff.
I know. But it's so important. The material you sent has some really great tips on how to make it easier.
Like what?
Well, one of the most common suggestions is to use a budgeting app.
Oh, yeah. There are so many good apps out there now that make it so easy to see where your money's going.
Exactly. It's super helpful to see, exactly how much you're spending on things like groceries, eating out, and entertainment each month.
And then you can see where you might be able to cut back.
Yep.
Right.
Right. And then the source you sent also talks a lot about this thing called lifestyle inflation.
Lifestyle inflation. I think I've heard of that. It sounds bad.
It can be. It basically means that as you earn more money, you start spending more money on things that aren't really necessary.
Oh, yeah. I've totally been there. It's so easy to fall into that trap. Like every time I got a raise, I'd think, okay, now I can afford a nicer apartment or a newer car. But it's like a never-ending cycle.
It really is, and it can keep you from reaching your financial goals. That's why the source emphasizes the importance of living below your means, even as your income grows.
So it's not about depriving yourself, it's about being intentional with your spending.
Exactly. And then the other big thing that all these experts talk about is building an emergency fund.
An emergency fund, yeah. I know I need one of those, but I'm not even sure where to start.
Well, the general rule of thumb is to have 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses saved up in a separate account. That way, if you lose your job, have a medical emergency, or your car breaks down, you've got a cushion to fall back on.
That makes a lot of sense, because life happens.
It really does. And having that emergency fund can give you so much peace of mind. Okay, so we've talked about mindset, income streams, saving and budgeting. Now let's get to the really exciting stuff. Investing.
Yes, investing. I have to admit, this is the part I'm most intimidated by. There's just so many different options out there, I don't even know where to begin.
I know, it can feel overwhelming. But the good news is that the material you sent breaks down the different types of investments in a really clear and concise way.
Perfect. So let's walk through some of those options. What's the first one?
Stocks. Stocks represent ownership in a company. When you buy a stock, you're essentially buying a tiny piece of that company. And as the company grows and profits, the value of your stock can go up, which means you can make money.
Got it. But stocks can be risky, right?
There's always risk involved with investing, but the source you sent highlights ways to manage that risk.
Like
one strategy is diversification, which we talked about earlier. Instead of putting all your money into one stock, you spread it across multiple stocks in different industries. That way, if one company does poorly, it won't wipe out your entire investment.
Okay, that makes sense. What else can you do to minimize risk?
The source you sent recommends looking into ETFs and mutual funds.
ETFs and mutual funds. I've definitely heard of those, but I don't really know what they are.
Okay, so an ETF is an exchange-traded fund, which is basically a basket of stocks that tracks a particular index, like the S&P 500. When you buy an ETF, you're essentially buying a small piece of all the companies in that index.
Okay. And what about mutual funds? Are they similar?
Yeah, mutual funds are also baskets of stocks or bonds, but they're managed by professional fund managers. So you're basically paying someone to pick the investments for you.
Okay. So that might be a good option for people who don't have the time or expertise to manage their own investments.
Right, exactly. Okay, so we've got stocks, ETFs, and mutual funds. The next big one in the source material is real estate.
Real estate? Okay, so buying a house or an apartment building.
Well, yes, but that's not the only way to invest in real estate. The source you sent also talks about REITs, which are real estate investment trusts. REITs are companies that own and operate income-producing real estate.
So like office buildings, shopping malls, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And you can invest in REITs just like you would invest in stocks. You can buy shares of a REIT on a stock exchange.
That's cool. I like that there are multiple ways to invest in real estate. Okay, what's next?
Businesses. Starting and owning a business.
Ah, yes, the entrepreneurial route.
This one's definitely for people with a high risk tolerance, but the potential rewards can be huge. The source you sent actually has some really inspiring stories from people who built successful businesses from scratch.
I bet. It's amazing what people can achieve when they set their minds to it. Okay, so we've got stocks, real estate, businesses, and what about retirement accounts?
Retirement accounts are a super important part of any wealth building plan.
I know they are, but I honestly haven't given them much thought. It just seems so far off,
Right.
Why should I worry about retirement when I'm just trying to get by in the present?
I know it can feel that way, but trust me, the earlier you start saving for retirement, the better off you'll be. It's all about the power of compounding.
Compounding, that's that snowball effect thing, right?
Exactly. The longer your money is invested, the more it can grow. And the earlier you start, the bigger that snowball can get.
So even if I can only contribute a small amount each month, it's still worth starting now.
Absolutely. Even small contributions can add up to a significant amount over time. Okay, now for a topic I know you're really excited about: passive income.
Yes. I love the idea of making money while we sleep. And the source you sent has some awesome suggestions for how to do just that.
Okay, walk me through them.
Well, we already talked about rental income from real estate. That's a classic example of passive income. But there's also dividend income from stocks.
Oh, right. Dividends are those payments that companies make to their shareholders, right?
Exactly. And some companies pay dividends regularly, like every quarter. So it's like getting a little bonus check just for owning the stock.
I like that. Okay, so we've got rental income and dividends. What else?
Royalties.
Royalties. Okay, so that's like if you write a book or a song and get paid every time someone buys it.
Exactly. But it's not just for creative types. You can also earn royalties from things like patents or licenses.
Ah, that's interesting. So let's say you invent something and then you license it to a company to manufacture. You could earn royalties from that.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered creating wealth, but the source also talks about something that's equally important: protecting your wealth.
Right. It's like building a fortress around your financial castle. You've worked hard to get here, and now you've got to make sure it's secure.
So true. Okay, let's break down those protection strategies. What's the first line of defense?
Insurance.
Insurance. Right, because life is full of unexpected twists and turns.
Exactly. The source talks about all different kinds of insurance, like health insurance, life insurance, and property insurance.
Right. It's basically protecting yourself from financial ruin in case something bad happens, like an illness or an accident or a natural disaster.
Exactly. It's peace of mind knowing that you're covered if something unexpected happens. What else?
The source also talks about diversification again, right?
Yeah.
But this time, it's not just about diversifying your investments.
It's about diversifying your income streams, too. Remember how we talked about having multiple streams of income so that you're not relying on just one? Same principle applies here.
Gotcha. So don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. Okay, and then for those who have really built significant wealth, the source also mentions some legal strategies for protecting assets.
Like what?
Things like setting up trusts and creating a will.
Estate planning. Okay, so that's definitely something to think about as your wealth grows.
Right, you want to make sure that your assets are protected and that your loved ones are taken care of if something happens to you. Now let's circle back to that compounding thing, because it really is the secret sauce to building wealth.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about compounding. It's so powerful, but can be kind of hard to grasp.
Well, think of it like this. It's like earning interest on your interest. It's exponential growth.
I think I'm starting to get it. So basically, the earlier you start investing, the more time your money has to compound, and the bigger your returns will be over time.
Exactly. Time is your biggest ally when it comes to compounding. Even if you can only invest a small amount right now, it's worth starting as soon as possible.
Okay, that's great advice. And finally, the source you sent emphasizes the importance of networking and learning when it comes to building wealth.
Yes. Because you're not in this alone. It can be really helpful to connect with people who are already successful in the areas you're interested in.
Right. So surrounding yourself with mentors and peers who can offer guidance and support.
Exactly. And then the source also talks about the importance of continuous learning.
Oh, yeah. It's a constantly evolving world, so you got to stay informed.
Right. Reading books, listening to podcasts, attending workshops, all of these things can help you stay ahead of the curve. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive. It's been really amazing to explore all this material with you.
I know. I feel like I've learned so much. It's clear that building wealth is a journey, not a destination. It takes time, effort, and the right mindset.
Couldn't agree more. And remember, it all starts with taking action.
Pick one strategy from this deep dive and start implementing it today. Whether it's setting up a budget, researching a new investment opportunity, or reaching out to a potential mentor, take that first step.
Because even small steps can lead to big results over time.
You've got this. And we'll be here to cheer you on every step of the way. Until next time.